Gender-based violence as a form of torture. Who is accountable? Torture committed by non-state actors has the same or similar elements of torture committed by states actors, but extended to the private, domestic, and community spheres. The UN Security Council defined the non-state actors as any individual or entity not acting under the lawful authority of the state. Human traffickers, organized criminal groups, gangs, cartels, criminal informal networks, cyber criminals, terrorists, paramilitary, security contractors, mercenaries, foreign fighters, perpetrators of domestic violence, parents, spouses, or other kin, guardians, neighbors, trusted adults, people at the workplace, strangers, buyers, pimps, pornographers. Making the invisible visible. Victims of torture by non-state actors are women, children, Indigenous people, persons with disabilities, persons in the context of migration, displacement, and humanitarian situations, LGBTQIA+. Torture by non-state actors originates in gender discrimination. Women, girls, and LGBTQIA+ people are the main victims. Femicides and torture. A woman or girl is killed by someone in her own family every 11 minutes. Some women and girls are tortured and mutilated prior to being killed. Naming global categories of NST victimization of women and girls. Category 1, classic non-state torture, parental, partner, guardian, foster care, peer, pimp, stranger, and includes electric shocking, beaten, burned, cut, whipped, immobilization tortures, tied, hung, caged, water tortures, suffocation, strangulation, choking tortures, sexualized tortures, rapes, gang rapes, repetitive raping, gun, hand, object rapes, forced drugging, nutritional and sleep deprivation, psychological tortures, humiliation, degradation, dehumanization, terrorization, horrification, animalization, forced nakedness, witnessing the non-state torture of others, powerlessness. Category 2, classic commercial-based non-state torture. Non-state torture in trafficking, non-state torture in prostitution by pimps and buyers, non-state torture by pornographic exploiters, snuff porn by pornographic exploiters, non-state torture of migrants, non-state torture of domestic workers by employers. Category 3. Some social cultural norms, traditional or religious-based acts. FGM, female genital mutilation, child marriage, acid attacks and burning, widow burning. Category 4, groups and gangs, organized crime, paramilitary, terrorists, other. Gender-based violence, GBV, during armed conflicts and after the cessation of armed hostilities by these groups affects women, girls, LGBTQIA+ people. Rape, mutilation, sexualized slavery, forced impregnation, murders, femicides, and homicides. Non-state torture is a crime. The tortures and the tools used by non-state actors inflict severe pain. Non-state perpetrators must be held accountable. The recognition of non-state torture as a crime would assure access to justice for victims, rehabilitation and reparation for survivors of non-state torture, supportive care emotionally, mentally, and physically, the right punishment for the non-state torturers. Who is accountable? Each state party shall ensure that all acts of torture are offenses under its criminal law. The same shall apply to an attempt to commit torture and to an act by any person which constitutes complicity or participation in torture. Each state party shall make these offenses punishable by appropriate penalties which take into account their grave nature. The Working Group of Gender-Based Violence as Torture Inflicted by Non-State Actors calls on states to achieve SDGs by eliminating violence against women and girls, by ending forced labor, slavery, and trafficking, by ending the exploitation and torture of children. The Working Group of Gender-Based Violence as Torture Inflicted by Non-State Actors is standing to end non-state torture. Torture inflicted by non-state actors is expanding. Addressing it as a crime which threatens lives, mostly of women and girls, is urgent. The Working Group of Gender-Based Violence as Torture Inflicted by Non-State Actors is standing to assist the mandate of international human rights instruments and conventions on the prohibition against torture, to promote global awareness to end non-state torture, gender-based crimes, and promote the equality rights of women and girls. Created and based on the research of the Working Group of Gender-Based Violence as Torture Inflicted by Non-State Actors. See more on our website. Contact us at wg-nst@crimealliance.org.